Hey there, I wanted to pop on today and introduce my next series that I'm going to be covering right here on my YouTube channel over the next several weeks. And it is all about social emotional learning. The reason that I chose this for our next series is, at least for me here in Indiana, which is where I live, social emotional learning has really come into question quite a bit as far as whether it should be addressed in schools or not. There's been a lot of talk about this in Indiana. There's even been a specific bill brought before the legislature that kind of discusses some limitations that would be put on schools in terms of social emotional learning. And so this has really been on my mind a lot lately. Just hearing from educators around my area, as well as reading a lot of articles online. Obviously, I'm a huge proponent of social emotional learning. It's one of the main things that I train teachers across the country on. But I want to make sure that whether you are an educator or a parent or just somebody who is interested in the topic, that you have a pretty clear understanding of what social emotional learning is, the types of topics that kind of fall under that SEL umbrella. So we're going to spend time diving into those over the next several weeks. But basically, I wanted to start with an overview today. Social emotional learning is just the building of our own awareness, self-awareness, and recognizing how our emotions impact the people around us, and really just recognizing what our emotions are. What are we feeling? How is it impacting ourselves? How is it impacting others? How does it impact our decision making? And so it really is such a critical skill that kids be taught. And so we're going to look at 11 kind of subcategories, I guess you could call them, of social emotional learning over the next few weeks. And these are going to be things like kindness and coping skills, social problem solving, mindfulness. And we're going to look at each of these categories individually and talk about how we can teach them, what it really means, what are some resources that we can use to support our kids learning about that specific category of social emotional learning, as well as sort of what goes into learning SEL. I mentioned self-awareness earlier, decision-making skills, things like that. We're going to cover all of those things. So it's a lot, it's a big topic, but I'm really excited about it because I want everybody to understand how important SEL is and how critical it is for teachers to be teaching these strategies in schools, especially right now, after our kids have endured 2 years almost of this pandemic. And what we're seeing from them is that their social skills have taken a hit. Their mental health has taken a hit. Their understanding of their own emotions has taken a hit. And it's just science at this point that we need to give them the tools to understand what's going on in their brain and how that impacts them, their lives, and the people around them. And there's a lot of research that supports everything that we're going to talk about as far as SEL goes. The benefits are far and wide. We have academic benefits, behavioral benefits, long-term benefits that we see years later in kids who have been introduced and instructed on SEL topics in school. So there really is something to it. There's a lot of research and science behind it. So I really hope that you'll join me over the next few weeks as we learn more about these different subcategories of social emotional learning and how we can give our kids the tools. That's really what it's going to be about. So just like the coping skills strategies that you learned about if you followed along with the last series, that's what we're going to be doing with social emotional learning. It'll be broken down and you will walk away from each video with tons of strategies for that specific topic to use with your kids, whether you are a parent at home, a babysitter, a nanny, a teacher, whoever you are. So I really hope that you'll join me. I'm really looking forward to this. If you have things that you want to hear about or learn about, pop them in the comments. And I will see you back here next time for the very first installment of this series.